So today's the 15th day of the 12th lunar month, and it's been 15 days since the end of the Katina season. But however it is, whatever season we're in, we practice the same way. We have to contemplate a lot. As monastics, we remember the chant that we do during the ordination ceremony, that we receive these robes for the sake of making Nibbana clear in our hearts, for the sake of attaining Nibbana. So we've heard this chant, we've chanted this to make Nibbana clear in our hearts, to attain Nibbana. But the way it is now is that it's not clear in our hearts. We haven't yet seen it. It's not yet clear. So why is this? Why don't we see Nibbana? Why is it not clear in our hearts? What is it that covers over and obstructs the heart from seeing Nibbana? So that which covers over the heart is the 5 hindrances which arise in the mind all the time. So when the sense objects arise, the inner sense base contacts the outer sense object and any of the 6 senses, then with this contact, then the 5 hindrances arise right there in the heart. And peace of mind, samadhi, does not arise. And when the mind's not peaceful in samadhi, then wisdom doesn't arise. So this is up to our firm intent, up to our setting our hearts on the practice. When we ordain, we chant that we use these robes for the sake of making Nibbana clear in our hearts. So we need to train our hearts. Specifically for monastics, we use the 8 material requisites. So we see that we don't have a lot of material wealth. We receive the 4 requisites from the laity by virtue of the parami of the fully self-awakened Buddha. So we have to contemplate all the time. Contemplate just like we chant the chant on contemplating the use of the 4 requisites. For instance, we build a monastery, and this monastery is a material thing that we use, but it's something that doesn't belong to us, it's not ours. Something we use to practice in these buildings and the land, to do the duty of a renunciate. We build this uposatha hall, and this uposatha hall can be used to ordain people. So people enter into the training to train their hearts and minds, to give rise to the Dhamma in their hearts gradually, bit by bit, to see a pure emptiness, to enter Nibbana. To do this, one needs to have firm intent. So one contemplates that the days and nights are constantly passing by. What are we doing with our time? Are we setting our hearts on the practice? Are we sitting and walking, training in mindfulness to improve our mindfulness? So we should contemplate, think like this. And we should think, well, these superior human qualities, these exalted Dhammas, do we have them in ourselves? So we contemplate and think like this. We set our hearts on being restrained. As being a monastic, according to conventional reality, we need to train our minds to see the Dhamma in order to give rise to the true monastic in the heart, which is the monastic in the sense of vimutti, or liberation, being lokuttara, above and beyond the world. So we practice to be restrained in the virtue of a monastic, the patimokkha. And today we chanted an abbreviated version of the patimokkha because the COVID pandemic is not yet over. So in this way we see and we contemplate dukkha, suffering as well. We see that these physical bodies, these sankharas, they receive a lot of diseases. So we contemplate the 4 requisites before we use them. We practice to have restraint in our hearts, to have restraint with regard to the 6 senses. The practice not to interfere or bother with the lives of others. We wake up with effort and energy, and we study and practice virtue, collectedness, and wisdom to reduce the 5 hindrances which cover over the heart, to give rise to a mind of peace and samadhi, in order to give rise to clear seeing, to vipassana, in order to see the Dhamma. So may you train like this a lot. May you grow and develop and do this a lot. May you all set your hearts on this practice.